Hi, I'm Jeremy, and today I'm going to take a look at the 8th game in my series of Spiel de Jahres winners. This is the award for the German Game of the Year. And this game is the 1987 winner, Liar's Dice. And this game, it was credited to Richard Borg, who as the designer. But the game, I think, has been essentially a bar game that's been played for years. It's been popularized in many different versions under many different names. The German name of the game was Bluff, I believe. Also, it might be known as Perudo by some. But I'm going to just show you the Milton Bradley version of Liar's Dice. The game has a lot of variants, but essentially it is a game where each player is going to get a number of dice, roll them and look at them in secret, and then try to guess what the dice of all the players at the table combined equal. So trying to guess a value that is present across the table. I'm going to take a minute to show you the rules of the game, and then I'll come back and give you my thoughts on it. So in a game of Liar's Dice, each player is going to be given a cup with 5 dice in it, and these are normal 6-sided dice. However, the ones have been replaced with stars, which will function as a wilds, and they will also count as stars just by themselves. So each player at the start of the round is going to shake their dice and then roll them and keep them covered so other players can't see, and take a look at what they've rolled. And you can refer back to this at any time, but generally you'll keep your dice under your cup. And so using the information that you have based on the dice that you've rolled, you're going to want to make a bid about the number of dice of a given value at the table. So on your turn, if you're the start player, you just have to start with an initiating bid. So for example, I might say that I think that there are 2 6s at the table. Then every other player, could refer to their dice, and based on what I've bid and what they know, they are going to be able to either call my bluff if they think that I'm lying and there are not indeed 2 6s at the table, or that they will be able to raise the bid. So, for example, they might say, no, I think that there are 3 2s at the table. So they would do that, and then this player either has to raise the bid or call it. So they could raise the bid in a few ways. They could either increase the value of the die without so for example, say that there are 3 instead of 2s, there are 3 3s at the table. Again, because the value of this die went up, you don't have to increase the number that you think are present, or you could increase the number that you think are present, and but then you have to increase you don't have to increase the value. You could just change the value to whatever you want. So based on what I roll, I might think that there are at least 4 3s. So that's the way the game is going to work. You'll notice that there are these spaces here with stars on them. That's because stars will count as 3s or any other number, but they will not count as themselves. So you could just say, I think that there are 3 stars, and that would be more than a bid of 5 of any other value. So eventually it'll go around. Let's say it comes back to me and I say that I think that there are 6 3s at the table. And then this player, based on the fact that there are 15 dice between us, says, I think that that's unlikely. So this would be a challenge. So a challenge is going to get resolved by every player revealing their dice and then tallying up the number of 3s, or in this case 3s and stars, that are at the table. So here we have 1, 2, 3, and I have 4, 5, 6. So in this case, I was exactly right. If I was exactly right, every other player would remove a die, and then they would only roll 4 dice in the future. Let's say, that, however, that I was wrong. If there were only 5 3s, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'd bid 6, then I would lose a die. And if I was more than correct, so let's say I had, there were 7 3s at the table, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If that was the case, the person who challenged me would just lose a die. So this is how the game's going to play out, with players getting fewer and fewer dice as they are called incorrectly on bluff, or make bluffs that they can't back up, until essentially one player is left with dice. That player, at the end of the game, will be the winner. Alright, so that is Liar's Dice, and this is one of my absolute favorite filler games. I'm always happy to play this game. It goes from 2 to 6 players, and you could add players, like I said, if you wanted to add additional dice and cups. And I think generally, around 6 or 7 players, this is going to be absolutely fantastic game. It's one of the best party/filler games that you could find. I will note that there are some rules variations. Generally, when we play, we don't play with the rule that if you're exactly right, everybody else loses a die. That's, I think, a published rule, but it's not present in all versions of the game. Also, the rule about having to increase the value of a die and not increase the number that you're bidding, that's an optional rule as well. Sometimes we will not play with that rule. But, however we play, this is essentially a very fun game that requires a little bit of math. You have to figure out the probabilities of, everybody's bid, and based on the information that you have, what the probability is around the table. But, it's much more a game about reading your opponents, trying to pick up on their betting tendencies to see if they tend to be conservative or if they tend to be, simply liars, and playing off that as well as figuring out your own bluffing strategy. So this is a game that does feature some player elimination. At the end of the game, there's only going to be 2 players rolling off against one another. But really, this is a game that people tend to be invested in and will watch to see how it unfolds even till the very end, even if they've been eliminated. And it only takes about 20 minutes or so, so it's not like it's a tremendous hardship to be eliminated from this game. And by its nature, this game, I think it started as a bar game or a pub game. This is a game where you're going to generally just be sitting around drinking, playing with friends, playing with family, and not so much worried about the game itself. So it is almost more of an activity. And that's fine. I think that for this kind of, filler game, this game that's just more about social interaction, it absolutely hits its mark. It's one of my favorite Spiel des Jahres winners. And however you play it, it's fine by me. I'm always happy to play along with you. So those are my thoughts on Liar's Dice, and thanks for watching.